Is that a Supra? There's a lot of controversies going on about the new Toyota Supra and how it uses a BMW motor. To be honest, I think guys that are talking shit about Supras either A, have never owned a Supra in their lives, or B, are AMG guys. Now, the B58 is the new motor that's gonna be in the new Toyota Supra, and it's actually from BMW. If you guys haven't already, you guys can check it out online. It's literally everywhere. However, what if I told you that the new BMW B58 motor that's gonna be in the Supra is more related to the 2JZ? In fact, I think it might be the next generation of the 2JZ.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
And here's some details about it. Everyone's praising the Supra, or at least the Mark IV Supra, because everyone assumes that's the real Supra. The only reason why they praise it is because it has so much power, or it puts down so much power and it can slay supercars and all that good stuff. But a lot of people don't understand or don't realize that from the factory, a stock Toyota Supra really doesn't make that much power. Yes, in the 90 cents, 320 horsepower and like 320 foot-pounds of torque sounds like a lot. However, that's not why people fell in love with the Supra. The main reason why people fell in love with the Supra is the fact that the motor was strong enough and capable to do amazing things. And that's what the Supra truly stood for. It's not the fact that it's 1,000 horsepower, it's the fact that the engine was strong enough to hold up to 1,000 horsepower. And that's where the B58 shines. Now, I think I'm the right guy to tell you guys about this because of two things. One, I used to own a Mark IV Supra, the real Supra. Yep, white target top twin turbo, guys. Not only that, but now I own a brand new M240i that has, get this, has the new B58 motor in there, which means it has a new Toyota Supra motor in there. I'm gonna tell you guys why the new B58 is probably the next generation of the 2J. Now let's compare apples to apples. The 2J motor made stock 320 horsepower and around 315 foot-pounds of torque in the 90s. Now that's a pretty big deal back then. However, the new B58 makes 335 horsepower and 370 foot-pounds of torque. It doesn't sound like a lot. I completely get it, guys, compared to the old Supra. However, where it really shines in its capabilities and the way the motor is built. If you dissect it and you really dig in, these are the items that catches your attention. Now, for those guys that don't know, the 2JZ was actually a steel block, which made it very strong and very, very reliable. Now, but the B58 is actually a closed aluminum deck block. Now, for those that don't know, a closed aluminum deck, or a closed deck in general, is extremely strong because there's no open areas within the block itself. That means it can hold a lot of pressure and withstand a lot of power. Another unique aspect they did on the B58 is that they no longer use a cylinder sleeve. Instead, they use a plasma arc lining. Now, it may sound complex, guys, but the plasma arc lining has been around for years, okay? The GTR R35 has had it, the Lexus LFA has had it. It's been tested, it's been tried, and it's true, guys. It's amazing and it works extremely well, and I'm very happy that BMW and Toyota realized that the B58 is potentially the best motor for this car. However, there are issues. When it comes to a closed deck design like the one on the B58, there are gonna be heating problems. However, BMW figured the best way to combat this is utilize not one, but two water pumps, right? An electrical water pump and a mechanical water pump. So when the mechanical stops running, the electrical can keep going and cool down your motor. The B58 does use a timing chain, which is a huge benefit for guys that are gonna own the car itself. You won't need to worry about maintaining that. You won't need to worry about changing that out until 200,000 miles later, honestly. It's gonna stretch, it's gonna do all the things, but it's gonna still be intact. And by the time you need to change it out, it's already a long way down the road, which is a big thing if you're a guy that likes to build your motors. Now we're getting to the nitty-gritty part, guys. Did you know the B58 comes with pre-forged internals? That's right, guys. All the crank, all the rods, all the pistons, all come pre-forged. Now, if that doesn't scream high performance, high power, I don't know what does. Because I don't know any other car out there that comes with all that kind of stuff. The fact that it comes with pre-forged internals means that you can be pushing a lot of power just from the stock block. Another crazy fact is that the 2J is actually a 9-to-1 compression. However, the B58 is an 11-to-1 compression. That's a big difference. Now, the main reason why they do that is because it tells you that the motor is strong enough to hold that kind of compression. It also tells you that the motor is strong enough to hold high amounts of power. So whatever you throw at it, it can withstand it. Now let's get into the turbos. As you guys might know, the 2JZ is a twin turbo setup. That's two sequential turbos. When one pulling, the other one's backing it up. It sounds great, it sounds cool, but there's always a huge ton of lag and there's always a huge problem. That's why 2JZ guys normally swap out twin turbos for a single larger turbo. BMW knew that, and because of that, installed a single twin scroll turbo. With that twin scroll turbo, it not only reduces the lag, but it gives you the instant boost in power that you guys want from the motor. And on top of that, it not only has a twin scroll turbo, it has dual vanos. Now, for those guys that don't know what vanos or vanos or whatever you want to call it, basically think of it as BMW's VTEC or BMW's VVTi. And the biggest thing, all right, if you don't own a 2J, if you never own a 2J, or even if you never own a Toyota or Lexus, the biggest headache and issue when it comes to tuning and getting extra power is the ECU. You can't flash the ECU. You can't even crack it. Oftentimes you need to buy another ECU or take it and send it off to someone who can. That's the difference. The BMW utilizes a DME, which is their version of the ECU, and you can flash tune it. That means you can tune it at home, at your friend's house, wherever it may be. You can tune it on the go in order for you to get that extra power. And that's truly amazing for a tuner like myself. If you like working on your own cars, you like doing all that kind of stuff yourself, you're gonna love this because you no longer need to remove your ECU and send it out or buy a really inexpensive ECU. For a couple $100, you can get your ECU flash tuned. And that's why I believe the fact that we're utilizing a new style of ECU, such as the DME from BMW, is a really, really good part for this car. I don't like that part. I don't like that part. It's too long. Okay, stop. I'll just do that part real quickly again. The ECU part. Now this part, tuner guys will freaking love because for you guys, oh, I hate that part. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you guys ever own a 2J or if you're ever a Toyota or Lexus Uner, 1, 2, 3. If you guys have ever owned a Toyota or a Lexus, you know that this is probably one of the worst things you have to do. No, 1, 2, 3. If you guys have ever owned a Toyota or owned a Lexus and likes tuning them or playing with them, you know the biggest headache is dealing with the ECU. It's either A, you rip it off and you send it to someone else, or you buy a performance ECU and it's a huge headache and it's really expensive. However, that's where the BMW's B58 comes in handy. It comes with the DME, which is BMW's version of the ECU. And not only that, but you can flash tune it. That means you can plug in an OBD and flash tune your ECU. You can do it at your mom's house, you can do it at my house, anybody's house, you can do it anywhere and you can flash tune it. There's no more headache of ripping off the ECU or buying some really expensive ECU. You can literally flash tune it and flash it back to stock. It's that simple. And that's why a lot of tuner guys will love this motor. Yes, it's getting a lot of flack, it's getting a lot of heat because it's a BMW motor, yada, yada, yada. However, it holds a lot of the values that tuner guys like. Strong motor, has potential, and I would like to be able to screw with it. And that's what makes the B58 such a great motor and why I believe that the B58 is the perfect engine choice for the new Supra. Not only that, but the B58 has already won multiple awards from Awards. Why did they choose the Z4 body style? I don't get it. The Supra was never a 2-seater and 2 doors. It was a 2-door, 2+2, and a liftback. Now, the M240i is probably the closest thing you can get to the old generation of Supra, mainly because of a few reasons. Obviously, 1, it has a new inline-6 turbocharged motor. 2, it's a 2-door, it's a 2+2, it's lightweight, around 3,300 pounds, rear-wheel drive, but the biggest kicker, it's a 6-speed manual. Yes, my M240i is a 6-speed manual. And honestly, it's probably one of the funnest cars I've ever driven, and it really reminds me of the old school Supra. So there it is, guys. If you haven't already driven a car that has a new B58 in there, go drive it. Go to BMW, tell them you want to test drive the new Supra. They'll think you're crazy, but just tell them you want to drive any of the cars with a B58 motor. You're going to be pleasantly surprised how smooth the power band is and how much capability it has. Now, the motor itself is an inline-6, guys, turbocharged. Think about it. Simple boost controller will already bump up your power. On my car, I did some slight modifications and it's truly amazing to drive. So if you haven't already, stop hating on the new Supra, drive it. If you're hating on the new Supra and you've never, ever owned the Supra in your life, I don't think you guys should be hating on it because you don't understand what makes the Supra so great. The Supra was great and amazing, not because it looked nice. It did not look nice. Compared to today's standard, it really doesn't. However, it's the heart of the Supra that makes it a Supra. And the closest thing nowadays to all the motors out there you see is probably the BMW's B58. Even the VQ38, whatever, DETT and the GTR, that's a V6 twin turbo. That is not even Supra at all. That's not even RB. RB, 2J, all of them were inline-6 turbocharged motors. So the B58 now is the best motor for the 2JZ, and quite honestly, I think it is the next generation of the 2J.